Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be creating some card kits. So I donate a lot of my cards to a variety of charities, and normally they're a complete card like this, ready to go. Sometimes I do bundle the envelopes and the cards together in like a Ziploc bag similar to this. And then that way the charities, if they're writing on them to send them out, they can just take them out of the bag, write on them, and they're still protected. And I don't need to use as much plastic. Sometimes they are in these. I also sometimes put 3 cards and 3 envelopes in one of these little bags, and they fit quite snugly, but it's also a great way to give someone a gift. I'm absolutely determined to use up lots of my scraps. I have acquired a lot of scraps of pattern paper. This card I absolutely love. I do have the MFT cover plate die, which is how I've created this in the past. What I've done previously is I've used coloured cardstock that coordinates, and then I've run it through my die cut multiple times, and I've created 30 or 40 cards with the same paper but lined up in different spots. I really like this card. It's a really simple card. I find that cards that are super busy aren't always what's needed when giving someone a birthday card. This one is really nice and neutral and simple colours and a simple design. I challenged myself to create a card like this without using the dies. So it is quite, you can get in a bit of a rhythm when you send the die cut through your die cut machine to create all of these strips, and then lining them up is straightforward because everything's measured so well. But I thought if I use the MFT die as my inspiration, can I create this much more simply and with minimal supplies? For me, that means I can use up a whole lot of my pattern paper scraps. This gives me 4 different sizes that I can cut them into depending on the size of the scrap, which is great. And then I can attach them to the card in a way that gets me a similar look to this. Over here is one that I have created as the base. I have not added the sentiment to it yet, but you can see that it gets a very, very similar look, and it's perfect for beginners. One of the charities that I donate cards to, I spoke to them last week and I asked them if there would be any value to creating some card kits. Sometimes they have beginners that have no paper crafting experience, and so they really struggle to work out how to create a card that looks good. We thought we'd try this out. I'm going to create some card kits. I'm going to pop them in with my next set of donations next month, and then the charity will give me some feedback as to whether that was helpful, and then it saves me some time because I don't have to put all the cards together. I get to use all of my pattern paper and still contribute to a great cause, and the people volunteering get a little bit of a helping hand so that they can actually create something that they're proud of. This is card kit number 1, I guess I'm calling it a card kit, but I guess it is a card kit. Let's just use this one as an example. Now with this design, I am going to try and use the long thin sentiments. I just don't think any of the other standard shapes that I have really apply in a way that looks quite as balanced. I always say the word balanced, but I like a balanced card. I'm not gonna take this one out of the bag. I'm hoping it's not reflecting. This one's ready to go. This is my sample card. In terms of the design and the approach, from the smallest piece to the biggest, it's 3/4 of an inch. This is different to this, by the way, but this was the similar concept of the different widths, so creating a similar design. In terms of the pieces, the 1-4-3-2 indicates the order in which the pieces go. The smallest piece goes first, followed by the largest, the third largest, and the second. 1-4-3-2 is just what I have in my mind when I have my different size pieces and how I start them to get a balanced look. You could put them in any order, so certainly anyone putting these cards together might decide that they want to do it slightly differently, and of course that is completely fine. Piece number 1 is 3/4 of an inch. Piece number 2 is 1 1/8. Piece number 3 is 1 3/8, and piece number 4 is 1 3/4. Again, this is 1, 2, 3, and piece number 4. I have pre-cut these. I was watching a movie and I literally sat down with all of my paper scraps and I tried to bundle together 4 based off this pattern paper design. I found a quite busy piece of paper. I used up all of my 6" by 1 1/4 inch strips to prepare these, and searched through my stash to find 3 other pieces that would match and complement this design. And then I made sure I had enough pieces to be able to recreate this multiple times. I've got 13 of each of these. Now you'll notice with the brown, for example, I had, for some reason, a bundle of this particular brown cardstock, and then I had 2 pieces that were a slightly different brown. They still match the design, so I'm going to put these into the card kit with no problem at all. Each of the cards can look slightly different, and I don't think that will be any trouble at all for someone who is a beginner card maker. You'll also notice with the green, for the green there's actually 3 different designs. We've got the squares, 3 sets of squares actually. This will still go down here just fine, and they're all very, very similar colors. So again, no challenge there. With this pack, I need to work out what the sentiment's going to be, and I need to create those. But basically there's a sample card plus the ability to create an extra 13. For me, I have created a little cheat sheet. Now, there's a couple of errors on here. I just created it super quickly before filming the video. The intent here is to create a card kit, again, for a beginner, and then put the number of cards that you'll get from the kit. So this is going to be 13, and is a sample provided? That'll be a yes. And then what are the supplies that they need to be able to complete the cards? They're going to need adhesive. They're not going to need scissors necessarily. They really just need to glue the pieces into place. This truly is a beginner pack. And I'm not going to put envelopes into the kit, so they will need some envelopes. Now, when I provide the cards, I always provide envelopes, but I'm going to provide them separately, which means the card kit itself would not have this included, and it just means the organizer knows that they'll need to have some envelopes to go with what's created by the volunteer. I always include card bases, so I'm not really sure that this needs to be here, and I've just noticed that I spelled envelopes incorrectly. And there is probably a couple more things that I will want to include here about the card kit as I'm creating. It's my intent to kind of update this little template. Off camera, I have a bunch of pre-folded white card bases. These are standard A2 size, so they're 5.5 by 4.25. I also have this bag that I used as the example. These are just inexpensive ones from the grocery store. My intent would be to put the card bases, the components into the Ziploc. This still needs a sentiment, so I'm not quite done, but the intent would be that I would have the sample card on this side so that they can see the design. I think it's really great if people actually pick a design that they like and they'd like to recreate. Then I can bundle all of these up, ready to go. And instead of having to adhere all of these together, have them ready for donation, I've actually created something that another volunteer can put together to help the charity in a different way. I get to use my supplies and get them off to a worthy cause, and then someone can have a bit of fun at the charity as well. Rightio. I need to create 14 sentiments actually, 1 for the sample card and 13 extras to go into the pack. This box, I really need to use some of these with my other cards. So as I make up some more kits, I need to work out a way to use some of these. Hopefully I have 13 of this style that are ready to go. And then I can mat those on some brown and this card kit will be complete. So I've now finished all of the sentiments and I'm attaching one to the sample card. As I mentioned earlier, I include a reference card for a beginner card maker so that they've got a clear vision of what they're trying to create. And some of the card kits will have 10 cards, some will have 30 cards. It just depends on the supplies that I'm able to pull together. As I'm sorting through these, I'm working out how many do I need and are there any where the quality of the sentiment is not what I'd like it to be. And if there's some that are either a slightly different design or not stamped quite as well, then I'll pull those out and put them aside. Once this is complete, I'll then bundle everything into my card kit. So I now have my finished sample card. Everything else has already been loaded. I will then add the sentiments into the middle and this is ready to go. Beginner card maker could pick this up and sit down with just some adhesive and could quite happily create 13 cards that could be used for birthdays. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dig through my scraps and I'm going to create up more and more of these card kits. To find out more, you can watch my next video, which is right here on the screen. Have a great day.